If you want the Mavs to go back to the NBA Finals for the second consecutive year, please hit that thumbs up icon. We're trying to get to 200 likes on today's video. It's really hard to get back to the NBA Finals, but your like can help the Mavs do it. Welcome into today's show. I am Jeffrey Kuberstein. Harrison Graham's out today, so it's going to be me filling in. Nico Harrison had his end-of-season interview. He took the podium to wrap up the 2023-2024 NBA season for the Mavericks, and it was a really good year for the Mavs, obviously making the NBA Finals in Nico Harrison's third season, and he got a contract extension out of it too, so it's been a good year all around. Let's just get right into some takeaways from Nico Harrison's presser. Takeaway number one, he admitted that Derrick Jones was going to be a priority for this team this offseason, and that's no shock. I really think the Mavs' only path to repeating as Western Conference champions and getting back to the NBA Finals is by keeping Derrick Jones. Now, it will be kind of difficult, but here's what Nico had to say. I don't know how we're going to do it, but he's a priority. He's 1A and 1B. We'll do everything we can to get it done. And that's kind of been what the Mavs have said all throughout the season, is they want to keep Derrick Jones back. And if you remember, the Mavs are now allowed to negotiate with Derrick Jones and their own free agents because of the new NBA's collective bargaining agreement. They can keep Jones out there. Jones obviously had a fantastic season for the Mavericks. His best NBA season of his career to date, 8.5 points, about 3.5 boards, 34.3% from three, almost 50% from the field. And he finally found a home, I think, after bouncing around the league for a few years. And I think Derrick Jones has admitted himself that he would like to be back. But it's going to be difficult to actually keep him, and there will be circumstances that lead Jones away from the Mavericks. The easiest path to keeping Jones is simple. It's trade Tim Hardaway. That opens up the full mid-level exception for the Mavericks to be able to keep Jones, and that would allow him to sign Jones to a 4-year, about $55 million extension or so. And I kind of think that's what Jones is going to get on the open market. I do believe he will have suitors outside of the Mavericks, but I think there's mutual interest in getting this deal done. So if I had to put a meter on it right now, I'd say 75% Derrick Jones is going to be a Maverick next season, and I really think the Mavs need to keep him in order to keep this run going, because the Mavs have very limited avenues to improve their team this offseason. Do you want Derrick Jones to be in Dallas next year? Type Y for yes, type N for no. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So when you get hit with the YouTube ad break, go on down there and get your comment in whether you want Derrick Jones to be a Mav next year or not. Takeaway number two. It sounds like Luka's going to play for Slovenia. Not sure how I feel about that one, Jim. Nico Harrison said that Luka is planning on playing as long as he's healthy, and he said that's one of his biggest joys. As long as he can walk, I think he will play for them. Oh boy. We know Luka had a very taxing season on the body this year. And I said this in previous shows. There's no way that the Mavs were going to tell Luka no, that he couldn't play for Slovenia. It just alarms me given the amount of games that he played in the 2023-24 season. 8 FIBA World Cup games, 70 regular season games, 22 playoff games for a total of 100 games played. The guy's played a lot of basketball, man, and he's dealt with a lot of injuries. I have concern, but like I said, the Mavs aren't going to tell him no whatsoever, so nothing surprises me there. He's going to play in these games, it sounds like, starting on July 2nd, and then if Slovenia is to qualify for the Olympics, he'll be playing a couple of weeks later in Paris, or I guess in Lille where they're actually playing. But it'll be nonstop for him. So hopefully he gets a break here, can get healthy, and put on a good showing for his country in Slovenia. And then lastly, the pieces are in place for the Mavericks to compete for a long time. They have the core in Luka and Kyrie. You have Gafford. You have Washington. Hopefully you re-sign Jones. You have the young bulls in Omax and Hardy. The pieces are in place there for a long time. And here's what Nico said about the future of the Mavericks. He said, I think we have the pieces. We need to get better ourselves. The core is intact. If you look at the top 7 or 8 players, I don't see anything happening with that. We're always going to try to get better. That's the nature of our job. Now, something he said that was interesting to me. The top 7 or 8 players are going to stay intact. Does that include Tim Hardaway Jr.? I don't see a path for Tim to be on this team this offseason. He has a $16.2 million player option this year. I think the only path the Mavs have to getting better this offseason is by trading Tim Hardaway. You can keep Derrick Jones that way, and it gives you additional flexibility to do other things. I don't see a way that Hardaway's on the roster next season, and maybe this was Nico Harrison just kind of telling the media what they want to hear, but I kind of think he was not lying through his teeth, but kind of giving out some subtle hints that maybe Tim Hardaway isn't one of those top 7 or 8 guys and won't be back. But you guys need to stay tuned to us throughout the entire 2024 NBA offseason. We'll be covering it. Make sure you turn on those notifications so you know whenever we publish a video. This next week is going to be hectic. We have round 1 and 2 of the NBA draft next Wednesday and Thursday, and then the following Sunday, NBA free agency begins. So it's going to be a great couple of weeks here at Mavericks Today, so be sure to hit that sub button if you haven't already. Wanted to round out today's show with some Mavericks coaching news. A couple of Mavericks assistants could be on the move from the Mavericks, as their coaching staff is going to get poached after winning the Western Conference. It's always a good thing when your assistant coaches are up for other roles in the NBA. Sweeney and Jared Dudley, the two Mavs assistants that have been linked with the move away from Dallas. First, let's start with Jared Dudley, who was reportedly going to be a candidate for JJ Redick's coaching staff with the Los Angeles Lakers. Dudley was on the Lakers staff with Frank Vogel when they won the 2020 NBA title alongside Jason Kidd. And now he's rumored to a move back there. And Dudley has been a great assistant for the Mavericks so far. He's really been a voice of reason in that Mavericks locker room. He's a guy that Luka kind of looks up to for words of advice, and he's also a guy that kind of talks to the refs during timeouts. So he's kind of Jason Kidd's liaison to the refs, so to speak. And here's what Mark Stein had to say on Dudley. He said Dallas's intent on retaining Jared Dudley, who is a key figure on Jason Kidd's staff. It's been known for some time that the Lakers would want to pursue Dudley for a JJ Redick coaching staff. So we'll see. It looks like the Mavericks want to keep Jared Dudley here in Dallas. Sweeney, on the other hand, is going to be interviewing for the Detroit Pistons head coaching job, which is interesting because he was on the Pistons coaching staff before he came to the Mavericks from 2018 to 21. Sweeney has been with Kidd for a very long time, dating back to 2013, when Jason Kidd was head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. So they've had a decade, basically, of experience together. And his resume, it's funny, like how many Mavs connections are here. 2013-14 with the Nets, 2014 to 18, obviously, with Kidd and the Milwaukee Bucks. And then 2018 to 21, he was with the Pistons, which was Dwayne Casey's team, who was the assistant on the Mavs 2011 championship-winning coaching staff. So he's had some Mavericks ties for a long time, obviously been with the team for the last 3 seasons. He's like the defensive coordinator of the team. He's the one that sets up the defense and gives out the defensive game plan. And this would be a big loss if the Mavs had to replace Sweeney. They would have to go find someone who is a very experienced defensive head coach, because I don't really think that's Jason Kidd's forte, even though the Mavs have been a good defensive team for 2 of his 3 seasons in Dallas. They'll have to find someone with, I think, NBA, maybe even head coaching experience in order to replace Sweeney on that staff, because you lose a guy like Sweeney, you're losing basically half of the game there. So you got to find a coach who is very good with the defensive X and O's to help out Jason Kidd there on that bench. If they both leave, who should the Mavs hire to replace Jared Dudley and Sweeney? I think Tyson Chandler is going to be a guy that the Mavericks end up looking at. He obviously worked a lot with Derek Lively this season. He wasn't an official on-the-bench coach, but he was part of the development staff. If Tyson wants the job, I think he's going to end up getting it. But let me know down in the comments who you guys think it should be. And that'll be it for today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. We'll have you guys all covered throughout the 2024 offseason. Like I said, this next week is going to be crazy. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video if you like what you saw.